on, Internet? I'm Ricardo, the Cynical Critic. Here we are with the top and bottom 5 characters of RWBY Volume 2. And since Volume 1, we have nearly doubled the amount of characters, so this list should be pretty interesting this time. Remember, however, like any list out there, there is always going to be some sort of bias. I try to be as objective as possible, but I can only do so much. That being said, write in the comment section below, what was your top and bottom character of RWBY Volume 2? Now with that out of the way, let's take a look at the best characters of this volume, starting with, of course,
Number 5. Sung-Woo Kong.
a lovable character made all the better by Michael Jones' stellar voice acting. I've already stated my love for this rage-quitting rock star, and yes, while again he just played a minor supporting role this season, I still found him immensely enjoyable to watch. Or listen to.
Yep, even though he didn't have much screen time again, every time this monkey boy hit the stage, the whole show lit up. The character has great chemistry with pretty much every other character that he interacts with, especially with Blake. Of everyone she's talked to, he's been the one to get her to open up the most, mainly due to the way that his lines are delivered. Michael Jones has more than proven that he's a great voice actor, thanks in part to his show Rage Quit. May it rest in peace. Well, more like pieces. Funnily enough, Michael brought none of that to this character though, making it all the more impressive that he's been able to portray the kind and honest son. He's so sincere when it comes to helping his friends and knows where he stands with being a faunus. Whether or not he's been persecuted for being what he is, it doesn't seem to matter with him, nor does it seem to have changed him. He is who he is, an adorable scamp that the audience have come to love, regardless of your opinion on who Blake is shipping. Either way, one thing is for sure, there was no rage quitting whenever this monkey took the stage. Number 4. Professor Bartholomew Oobleck.
It's kind of funny, if not slightly ironic, that an actor whose best claim to fame is voicing an extremely, simple-minded fellow is now portraying a rather clever character, and I absolutely love it.
Talk about range! Unless you knew who played the character, it'd be hard to pin down that both the imbecile Caboose and the intellectual Oobleck are played by the same guy. And despite being often played for a cheap chuckle, Oobleck can be a very sincere character. His revelation for why he chose to be a huntsman is still one of the main reasons many love this guy so much. This love can definitely be attributed to Rooster Teeth's stellar ability to write amazing characters in tandem with casting the right man for the job. And Joel Heyman is most certainly that man. As though Oobleck's appearances were just for a few episodes, he nailed it every single time. So many were so happy that the writers gave more screen time to this green-haired speed demon, and I hope to see more of him in the future. Because I have to say, I for one got stuck to this guy with a golden smile. Number 3. Yang Xiao Long.
Yes, she's on this list again, but this time it's for reasons other than, oh my god, it's Barbara Senpai! She's really grown into her own character this volume that is both fun and energetic, as well as strong and supportive.
Previously, she was just fun to listen to and enjoyable to look at after a hard day. Take that however you will. But she's become a deeply emotional part of this team, and Barbara Dunkelman has proven that she has an unbelievable talent to bring across that spirited yet touching aspect to this character. There's a reason many of you won't argue with her being on the list again, as she is certainly one of the most popular characters of the show to this day. This volume only emphasized that as we are shown her interesting connection to each of her teammates. To Weiss, who she acts like a sister to RWBY, who she acts like a mother, and to Blake, who she has formed a strong friendship with, not only opening up her own past to her, but getting Belladonna to open up as well. Still not convinced that the Bumblebee ship has any solid evidence for it, but it doesn't take away from her love for her team. A sister that still looks up to her, Weiss that she likes to set up parties with, and Blake who she cares for. Again, take that however you will, because I can't stop. Well, not until the mind control machine is ready. Anywho, I know that I for one will love this character long time. Number 2. Blake Belladonna.
Talking about Bumblebee, last time on the top 5 bottoms, not bottoms as in butt, though she's got a great one, but previously she was on it because she wasn't given enough time to develop enough before the end. However, they did this time, and it was worth it, as it allowed us to see a whole new side to her.
Back in Volume 1, she was just sort of there until the last episode, but now she feels like a true main character. She's calm and reclusive around her classmates, but when it comes to her people, she defends them with a fiery passion. Well, sometimes you have to hurt the ones you love in order to protect them. But in this volume, she truly does come into her own, and much of the thanks for that goes to not only the writers, but to Aaron Zach. She shows such emotion through her voice alone, giving Blake that somber yet passionate tone. Erin has also managed to bring an unusual atmosphere to Blake every time she spoke, and again, to this day, thanks to her and Barbara, Black and Yellow's classroom talk is still one of the greatest scenes of the series so far. Due to it, we see that not only is Blake sympathetic to her own race, but to any and all those close to her, as Yang's story did have an effect on her. Regardless of most of the shippers' reaction, most of us saner people were more than willing to put up with them just to have more time with every RWBY fan's favorite Neko girl. Unlike last time, this kitty cat was most certainly the belladonna of the ball.
And now for some honorable mentions. Didn't do this last time because there wasn't enough characters, but there are now, so hold on to your butts.
Roman Torchwick. Yeah, Roman, my man, I love ya, but you hit a little girl and I'm already affiliated with something like that. Hey, I've never hit a little girl. On purpose, anyways. No, you just hit on little girls. The lolly rule applies, so those don't count. Anyways, this charismatic conman was enjoyable as always, but other, more enjoyable characters booted him from being on this list. Sorry, my man, but aren't you glad I didn't say anything about Clockwork? Shit! James Ironwood. A really interesting character that acts sort of as a tantamount to Ozpen, but takes the more serious role to this battle with an unknown adversary. Sadly, we didn't get to know enough about him, nor did we get enough screen time to get a, no pun intended, general feel for his character. Maybe next time his character development will be more ironed out. Neo. Just about everyone loves this mute lolly, and I can understand why. And yet you judge us. Wrong kind of love, you sicko. Anywho, it's funny that a character who is yet to have a line is one of the more expressive. She's literally the grommet of the show. Doesn't say a single word, but her facial expressions are more than enough to tell us what she's thinking. Sadly, this volume just didn't have enough of her to put her on the list. Shame. Throw in some Weiss and Blake and we could have had ourselves some Neapolitan ice cream. Funny, that's actually the name of a porno starring those three. God damn it, Lakanon.
And now, the one that you've skipped most of the video for.
Number 1. Zwei!
Yes, clearly the best boy of RWBY is the best character.
Everyone loves this adorable corgi. Well, everyone except Blake. But we should expect that, otherwise it'd be cats and dogs living together and we'd have mass hysteria. And what's not to love? He's cute, he's cuddly, and yes, he's not the top character of this volume. You can't have a dog as a character, they're simple animals. Unless they can talk, in which you need to quickly kill those evil devil spawn.
Speaking about the devil, the true top character is one that made many of you think that I was him because I put her on the bottom last time, and that is...
Number 1, Pyrrha Nikos.
Yeah, you happy guys? Your waifu made number 1. You bunch of number 2s. And believe it or not, she's here for legitimate reasons other than, like, OMG, seriously? You've not seen who it is? It's Pyrrha Nikos, the, like, totally best girl.
Yeah, and have you seen what she's wearing?
Later, penis.
Now the reason for the sudden jump from mid-bottom to all the way on top is because of just one scene. Last time I couldn't in good conscience put her any higher because she played an important part to another character's development. And yet, we knew very little about her, or why she was so nice, or why she liked this idiot despite the fact that he barely paid attention to her. Well, like I've said before, a single sentence can change our outlook on everything, and we didn't just get one sentence, we got an entire scene that still stands as one of the most touching, slightly romantic scenes in RWBY. Still only second best next to the Bumblebee one. Shut up, Lakanon. Better yet, that scene not only answered all our questions, but also grew both the characters as well as their relationship. I'm also glad that John didn't immediately fall in love with Pyrrha afterwards, as that would have been a bit too much. Instead, nicely, their relationship more or less remains the same, but their friendship did strengthen that night. Ah, shit! You just got friend-zoned, bitch! And I'd have to say that one of the main reasons for that scene being so impactful was because of Jen Brown, the voice of Pyrrha Nikos. Already a seasoned voice actor with Rooster Teeth thanks to her character Carolina in Red vs. Blue. And like with Joel, she brings an entirely new personality to the table with RWBY. With Carolina, she was firm, withdrawn, somber, and about as much fun at a party as Gussarola. But with Pyrrha, she was cheerful, patient, kind, and well, the best kind of girl one could hope for. This volume, both Pyrrha and Jen proved that the character was more than just a pretty face and a lovely rack, and I hope to see more scenes like this in the next season. So yeah, I guess you guys could say, thanks to the writers, Jen and Monty, Pyrrha is a flaming victory to her fans.
But with every top comes their bottoms, and these are the bottom 5 characters of the second volume of RWBY, starting with, surprisingly enough,
Number 5. Ruby Rose.
Come here, Miss Rose. I'm going to need you to stay after class, young lady, because you're on this list again. Yep, but this time she just barely made the list, and it says something about the characters of the show that I couldn't really find a fifth without being extremely nitpicky.
Like that's ever stopped you. Anyways, RWBY is on here because, again, main character, and she doesn't get enough screen time or development, but instead is just sort of there. Granted, there is sort of a reason for that, but she needs to have more of an active role in the show that is practically named after her. Disappointingly, the focus went elsewhere. And though, yes, I'm not sure I'd be willing to give up those two scenes either, but RWBY needs to be shown having a bigger influence on the events surrounding her and with her team, other than a little dog that bounces into the room, barks, and then bounces out. Which is kinda sad, because Lindsay Jones is a great casting for RWBY, and has most certainly improved her skills since the yellow trailer. Perhaps she'll have a bigger part to play in the next volume. But here, sad to say, this RWBY just didn't shine brilliantly enough. The character, not the show. Number 4, Cinder Falls.
Finally, we get more screen time with our villains, and we still don't know anything about their goals, except that she's got plans and a hot ass. Like I've said before, Rooster Teeth knows how to do characters, but they seem to struggle when it comes to villains, or at least in how they execute their presentation of them.
Not only being a main baddie that we needed to look out for, but also seemingly having an active part in what may be about to go down. We needed her to have a bigger presence. Unfortunately, all we got were a few scenes of her doing nothing but scheming. And scheming will only take you so far, but unless we see you enacting on them, you're just like a guy who complains a lot but then does nothing to change things. It's even more disappointing as Jessica Negri does have that commanding and intimidating tone in her voice. But we can't truly fear for our girls because, again, Cinder does nothing. And hell, it doesn't even appear that she's aware of Team RWBY's attempts to interfere with her plans. She needed more screen time, she needed more development, but got neither. So sadly, it looks like any hopes for our villain to have an impact on this volume went up in smoke and cinders. Number 3, Mercury Black.
He's a dick! I should know, we can always sense our own kind. But sadly, like with Carden last time, there just wasn't anything else to his character besides that.
I mean, while Emerald is very similar, she at least seems to have some sort of personality to her, whereas Mercury is just an asshole. He's the bad kind of villain that you don't love to hate, or even hate just because they're evil. You just acknowledge that he's there, that he's a bad guy, and then there's nothing else for you to care about. And considering that he gets near equal screen time to the main villain, you'd expect there to be something more to him. But unfortunately, as many have pointed out, Rooster Teeth do struggle when it comes to making their villains intriguing, which is kinda heartbreaking, as this was the only volume JJ Costello played him, and he wasn't half bad. He did bring an unlikable smugness to the guy that might have gotten us to enjoy hating him, but he just needed better lines. Well, when it came to Mercury, my mind went black to think of a good joke to end this on. Meh, it's Mercury, who gives a shit? Moving on. Number 2, Ting Coffee.
Oh yeah, not just one character, but the whole team. Coco, Fox, Velvet, Chainsaw Guy, the whole bunch. Because not only did the character have a contest for her costume design, but many of the viewers wanted to see more of them.
All these characters were interesting to see, each having a unique personality that made us want to dive deeper into them and explore their character. From Coco's brash confidence, to Fox's scars, to Velvet's part-time job as a Playboy bunny, to Yatsuhatsu's noble demeanor. And again, they were set up early in this volume. Hell, Velvet was set up early in season 1. Not saying that we should have focused solely on them, but a few extra scenes would have been nice, just so that we can get to know them better. It would have given the audience an example of a more seasoned team that RWBY or Juniper could have looked up to, or at least respected. And again, there was that whole contest for Velvet's design, and a fan of Rooster Teeth voiced her, but she is treated like Cinder, with barely getting double the appearances that she got back in Volume 1. And her voice actor, Kieti Ward, as well as Coco's Ashley Jenkins, do wonderful jobs bringing a distinct personality to each. Well, raise a cup, for here's to next season's coffee, having more of a pick-me-up than this one. Maybe it needed more caffeine. Oh, hell no!
And now for the bottom listings, honorable mentions. Or in this case, I guess it would be considered dishonorable mentions, starting with
Emerald Sustari. Yeah, just like with Mercury and Cinder, she needed more screen time than what we got. Hard to feel scared of someone if you have no idea what they're capable of, or better yet, how far they're willing to go. However, there was just enough personality in this little green-haired lesbian to make her just entertaining enough to keep her from listing. I guess she walked like an Egyptian out of that one.
That's racist!
Neptune Vesalius. A lovable dork, both he and the shorty McTorty that voices him. However, being a sexy doofus isn't enough to keep us from asking, wait, why are you here? A question I'm sure Carrie has asked daily. It seems that he was going to play as big as part as Son, but sadly was pushed to the side of just being there. Can't hate him for that, which is why he's only a dishonorable mention. Well, at least he tried it. The White Fang. Yep, another group listed as a character. But here it sort of makes sense, because that's more or less how the show has presented them, as a single entity. No doubt there are those that aren't very big on hurting humans, or perhaps have issues working with Roman, or at the very least aren't willing to use Grimm against Vale. Unfortunately, we don't get any inside look at the group that is supposed to come off as misguided and hurt. Luckily for them, I'm already pushing my luck by having them here. So it looks like they scraped past that by the skin of their fangs.
And now for the absolute worst character of Volume 2, because we really didn't get any development with her.
Number 1. Penny Polladina.
Passing out. Sorry. I couldn't help myself. But the real one has no development, and that is...
Number 1. Adam Taurus.
Who the fuck is that? And why do I have a sudden feeling of pure loathing? Now that was the general reaction that many had, yes, even those that had seen the trailer, when this dope showed up acting like a 9-year-old who thinks he's so badass just because he threw on an overcoat and found his big sister's secret katana. Don't think about that too much.
Yep, apart from a quick view from behind at the very beginning, and his symbol in episode 10, we had never seen this guy outside of the trailers, which again were called trailers, and thus mostly only Rooster Teeth fans watched him. So when he showed up, no one knew who he was, and we're confused as all hell, thinking that we missed an episode or something. And he's not only supposed to be a villain that we're supposed to be scared of, but he's also, as we will find out, a crucial leader of the White Fang, which is why he says, "Still within to me." Wait, what? We never saw him at the White Fang meeting, not even for a little while, which would have been, as Blake might put it, a perfect opportunity to drop a cameo of him. Hell, as I already stated, it would have worked better if there had been a flashback when Blake was talking about him. This is why, Rooster Teeth, people say that you suck at making villains, and it's been hard for people to dispute it. Last time it was Cinder, but at least they had the excuse that the villains weren't the main focus of the volume. But here they were, as the writers were trying to set things up in the story. And Adam makes top because we needed to know who he was before the big reveal, so that the ominous feeling that the episode was trying to end on would leave the audience in actual suspense, rather than unbelievable confusion. I would like to say that his design does help make up for it, but not even being voiced by the incredibly talented Garrett Hunter can make up for this poorly executed reveal. Sadly, it seems that Adam was a little tardy when it came to showing up sooner.
And there you have it, guys, the top and bottom 5 characters of RWBY Volume 2. Share your favorites in the comment section below, and as always, thanks for watching. Like if you did, and subscribe if you want to keep up to date. I've been Ricardo, the Cynical Critic, and I'll catch you guys next time for the RWBY Reviews Volume 3. Toodles!
This is my fort!